Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
I can't see where you're coming from. I know just what you're running from. What matters ain't the who's baddest, but the ones who stop you falling from your ladder when you're feeling like you're feeling now.
And good evening to KLRN. This is Thursday night, which means it's your early introduction to the weekend. And this is Disasters in the Making. How's everybody doing? I'm Brad Slager, getting ready to walk you down the dark and dingy alleyways of Hollywood. And joining me on this trek through the mud and the muck of Dreamland will be none other than Screen Rant's own Paul Young. What is going on tonight, Paul?
How you doing this evening, Mr. Bradley? Everything working out for you okay there? I know you're watching. Are you watching some basketball? Or are you watching some baseball? What are you watching? You got something going on tonight. What are you watching there?
Nope, it's hockey. We're into the Frozen Four college game is on. Apparently, March Madness ended this week too.
I know Florida won. I hate that as a Georgia fan. I hate to see Florida win anything, but kudos to them for bringing home the national championship.
Yeah, I'm completely oblivious to that because the other night one of my co-writers was like, "Hey, congratulations to Florida." I go, "What the hell did we do now? Tell me." Oh my God, you're like, "You just won the championship," and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Oh, got it. Sorry. Yeah. Don't like basketball. Don't like UF. So my interest level was really hovering around zero, and yeah, completely lost it. But yeah, tonight the Frozen Four is taking place, and my team is Boston University. They're squaring off against Penn State, and if they win, they go to the final Saturday. So bit of excitement on my end of things. That's the way I work.
Nice. Yeah, I always remember. I always forget sometimes that you're a huge hockey nut.
Yeah, that's my game.
Which is weird as you living down here in Florida and the hockey being basically up north.
It is, but we do have our own team, by the way, and the arena sits right on the edge of the Everglades, which is kind of bizarre and fitting at the same time. But we're defending Stanley Cup champs. I'm excited about that. Now I got a college team on the verge of a championship too, so I'm in a good mood. I'm doing well. I'm happy with things.
I mean, I'm honestly surprised that we haven't covered more hockey films.
Well, we did do the Bon Jovi epic.
Yeah, that was terrible. I don't know what we were thinking there.
That could be that it was terrible. I think that's exactly what we were thinking. So
Well, we succeeded because
yeah,
that was about
that one, wow, that offended me as a hockey fan and as a movie watcher. Double 2 minutes in the box for that one.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will say that tonight's movie we picked because of Minecraft came out last weekend, and we've covered 2 movies now based on Jack Black, where the Gulliver's Travels earlier in the year when the first trailer was released, and now Borderlands because Jack Black voices Claptrap in it. Now, let me just say, as someone who went to go see, I told you earlier, I had a trilogy of garbage to watch. I watched Electric State on Netflix, which should have been a lot better than it was. And then I followed that up with my Borderlands and Minecraft. Those were my 3 in a row, like in the span of 24 hours.
Yeah,
And
so apparently you were in a dystopian ensemble kick. You just wanted to watch
it's like
it was like people tromping
through it. It was like eating a Twinkie milkshake followed up by scarfing down as many Sour Patch Kids. Like I was trying to give myself movie diabetes all at one time, both type 1 and type 2 of the diabetes. That's all the diabetes. But look, I'm going to be honest with you. Son and I went to go see Minecraft last night. Now, I've never played the game. It's just not been my thing. It was more geared towards him. He's 18. He'll be 19 in August. He has played that game as recently as last week, he says. And I got a friend of mine. He's in his 40s, and he still plays it. He goes, he's a teacher. He uses it to unwind and relax. He likes just being able to control the universe he's in for a short period of time, according to him. So I get it. It's got a huge following. I didn't hate the movie, Brad. Now, I know there's plenty of criticisms out there to be had for this film. It's a stupid story. It's a stupid ensemble. They can't figure out who exactly they want to be the lead character in this film. It's a dumb bad guy, main villain. But at the end of the day, I found myself, my son and I found ourselves laughing throughout most of the film. And I didn't need to understand the game to understand the jokes. And look, I just want to be entertained when I go to the movies. And that's what this movie did for me. I was very shocked, very surprised, to be honest with you, because we walked in there thinking it was just going to be full of just stupidity. It's not a good movie, but it's an entertaining movie. It'll probably make $1 billion at the box office. It probably deserves it. Jason Momoa is hysterical. He's very, very funny. Him and Jack Black play well off each other. The rest of them don't really know what they're doing there. And Jack Black's trying too hard to be funny, which is what he does in most of his roles.
Yeah, he's kind of suffered of late. He's ever since Jumanji, he's kind of been on a downward slope. So he kind of needed this.
He's trying too hard. Like, we get it. You're a loud, funny, obnoxious kind of guy, borderline obnoxious, and that's his style of comedy. But like, I think one of his best roles was in that one with Gwyneth Paltrow and Jason Alexander.
Yeah, the where he no longer saw women as fat, or saw their inner beauty.
Jack Black fat movie. What was that? Fat girl movie. If you Google it, it's Jack Black fat girl movie is how it comes up. Shallow Hal.
Right. Yeah, that was. I mean, it was an interesting take on things, but
it was a more of a relaxed role for him, right? He wasn't required to be the super funny, obnoxiously loud guy. Kung Fu Panda, he plays well to Kung Fu Panda. His voice, that's a great series. It's probably my favorite out of everything that DreamWorks does when it comes to animation. But he did another movie. Was it Holiday? It was a holiday film. Might have been called The Holiday. Yeah, it was The Holiday, 2006. So those are like completely out of the box character-wise for him. It's not required to be loud and obnoxious and funny. He just can be a person. And if you just bring him into a regular actor, he's pretty decent. And
well, that's the thing is he needs to modulate a bit, because whenever you just stick him in front of a camera and say, go do Jack Black, that's when you just get him gesticulating, taking his shirt off, and just acting, hyper caffeinated. I'll
Yep.
tell you where I thought he did a really good role was in Tropic Thunder, where he basically was doing a send up of the type of movies he was doing, but in a cynical fashion. And like when the camera was turned off, he was this drug addicted superstar kind of thing. And it's just like, just shut the hell up and go get me my pills, you know, that. And he played that well. And it's when you give him framework in which to operate on, he does much better. It's like, listen, your guy does this, he acts this way, he behaves in this fashion, and this is his motivation. Jack Black is better than he did that well in Jumanji and things like that. When you have some kind of framework and guardrails for him, much better. But if it's just go be Jack Black,
I think
tiresome.
the exception to that would probably be School of Rock, because that movie suffers if he's not acting that way for this film. Because the kids weren't carrying the film. Joan Cusack's character was well too buttoned up. They needed him to be that style character in order for that movie to be as enjoyable as it was.
Yeah, and then basically in that role, he is Jack Black. I mean, that's straight out of Tenacious D and everything else. That's him.
Yep.
You know, so that kind of worked because it was all right. We need. Well, what if we put Jack Black in a high school kind of scenario, and then okay. But it's yeah. Last few films, he just did a Christmas movie a few months ago that everybody hated, and yeah, he needed some kind of redemption here, and you probably got it. Did you see any of the videos online for Minecraft? What took place inside theaters? Because I've seen a couple where the audience just went bat crap crazy at certain times, and they said
they're mostly teens, like they're mostly preteens and early teens. I say somewhere between like the 11 and 12 to 16 to 18 crowd, 16 to 17 crowd. And they're all parents just dropping them off, going there, and they're essentially, at least the videos I've watched, they are showing no respect for the decorum inside of a regular movie theater. We're not talking about people losing their minds during Han Solo dying and, you know, in Star in Star Wars, or, you know, Captain America picking up Thor's hammer in Endgame. We're not talking about people going crazy like that. We're talking about like kids just losing all respect for themselves and the people around them and throwing popcorn and just going nuts. My son sent me a video on Instagram this morning, and it showed a bunch of kids getting kicked out of the theater. The whole theater got expelled because when the chicken jockey came on, I don't even know what that's about, but the chicken jockey came on and they all just lost their minds, like they were in the middle of some sort of TikTok meme. And I'm just like I would have had to lose my absolute shit on everybody.
Yeah,
that was in that theater, and I paid money.
I think these are kids that don't go to movies. You know, they've never been to a theater before, and for whatever reason, when this fan service character showed up, they all lost their minds, and they're jumping up and down in their seats and throwing popcorn and high-fiving each other. And it's like, there's a movie taking place there. You know, I don't want to sound like the old fart or anything, but it's like you came for this. Like cheering and applauding is okay to a degree, but there's still stuff happening. Well, you know, we're not pausing the movie for your little emotional outrage here, but this, you know, this is the new generation. This is now also probably why theaters are suffering, because these kids don't go to theaters.
And they don't understand the decorum that's required to be in public. Like we live in the TikTok generation, you know, where it's okay to just walk up to women randomly and ask them how many people they've slept with, and then the women don't find anything offensive about that and answer the question, all because some random dude is holding a tiny little microphone in his hand and his buddy's holding a camera. They're just going to give out personal information, and they're both okay with the question being asked and answering the question, knowing that it's going to be online forever, and not realizing that at some point they're going to be 46 with kids and possibly grandkids watching, you know, how many people grandma slept with on spring break. It's just, I don't know.
You know, it's also a case where this is all skewed reality, because in order for them to have that moment, they probably offended about 50 women. How many of you slept with? Screw off, get out of my face, or, you know, push them out. So they have to just keep at it. And then that 1%er will respond. They get their video gold. and we get infected with Hawk Tuah girl for 6 months.
Right, or longer.
But this is, these are kids that should be watching this at home so that when the chicken character comes out, they can hit pause and high five their friends on the sofa and lose their mind and start going online and sending their text out and, oh my God, you won't believe what just happened on screen, you know, and then 20 minutes later, they can restart the movie and get back into it.
Like, you're not watching the Rocky Horror Picture Show. You're not, this is a Minecraft movie. It's not, I mean, they were treating it like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, except not as good. They're not singing along to the songs. They're just losing their mind at the fan service. And I guess this movie had a lot of fan service in it.
Seemed like it. But this is also, too, why I've never gone to a movie on opening week, a big movie on opening weekend in probably decades. I mean, you know, garbage movies like we love opening weekend, sure, because it's me and 3 people. But,
right.
You know, like if a Jurassic World movie comes out, I dread going when it's a full theater because nobody can stop talking and texting and doing everything else. And it's like, son of a bitch.
Well, we go during the day. So, you know, because my son, I work a weird schedule. And so we found ourselves with some time at 2:00 in the afternoon. So we go and we catch the matinee over at the new Cinemark, which is one of the cleanest theaters in Jacksonville. And there were only like 5 or 6 people in the theater. And of course, I'm sitting next to a mom and her homeschool kid right next door. I mean, they were like 4 seats away. I had to sit in seats I didn't buy. That's how close we were in the same row. Like, you got this theater with 300 seats and I happen to pick the 2 next to you. But it's fine. I mean, they're nice recliners and stuff. But it was funny listening to this kid sitting next to us. And he is like pointing and having the time of his life at everything that shows up in this movie. He's like, oh my gosh, that's from the game, and this is from the game, and oh my gosh, I saw this with Billy. Like, he's talking, and I wasn't really annoyed by it so much as I was like, kind of enjoying his enjoyment of the movie.
Like, that seems kind of cool.
He wasn't being obnoxious. He was just like a 10-year-old that was enjoying this movie with his mom midday. And I, if I didn't like it, I could have moved down to any of the numerous open rows, you know, just been away from that section. But there was a set of kids in front of us, like 3 or 4 rows down, and you could hear them doing the same thing with their parents. This is a very clean movie. It is probably the most family-friendly film that has come out this year. As far as like, there's no sexual innuendo jokes. There's none of that nonsense where they just kind of peel one in there for the parents just so they can make it a little PG-13 as opposed to PG. The violence is all cartoonish, right? It's, you know, everything that gets hurt or killed is a character, and there was plenty of opportunity to add that into the film, and they chose not to. So I give the filmmakers some credit for their restraint, knowing about exactly who this audience was going to be pointed towards, and knowing exactly what it is they wanted to do, and that was to make money. And they deserve just about every dollar they're going to make here, because this thing opens in China. Tariffs or no tariffs, this thing's going to just draw in a ridiculous amount of money.
Oh, I'm sure it will. And this, you know, what you're describing too is them knowing their audience. Because I've got in our family too, not Minecraft, but Roblox, which is kind of an adjunct game to this one. And
I told my son that Roblox would be the asylum version of Minecraft if they ever release it.
Yeah, they'll probably do it with actual visuals from the game and just put their own script in. That's the thing. This is in my house. This is played by the 6 and the 12-year-old. They do this, you know, and she's in Texas now, and they play with each other and can talk to each other while they play it. And so, you know, the 2 cousins stay in contact that way. It's kind of cool to watch it. So that's why they did this. I mean, literally, probably 6 to 15 was their target audience, and anybody else is gravy. So they knew what they were doing, it sounds like. Well done. In contrast to that,
we have probably the
not
worst
knowing what they're doing
ever.
is the movie we picked to go with this. So as Paul and I always like to do, we like to make a selection based on what's in the news, what holidays are going on, or in this case, what's in theaters. So we have our own ensemble dystopian adventure, and it includes Jack Black. I mean, we were about as parallel as we can get, with one difference: quality.
I tell you what, look, there's a lot of money dumped into this movie, where they had like a budget of 110, $120 million.
Yeah. And people
it made 33. It made 33 million on 120 million release.
worldwide.
Worldwide. This is a 3-year, and this movie took 3 years to make, which is kind of funny, right? Because Ariana Greenblatt does not look anything like she looks now.
Yes, the teenager has grown up. Well, I probably should start here and just say the movie that we're doing tonight is Borderlands. And if you're scratching your head saying, wait, Borderlands, what the hell is that? This actually did come out in theaters last fall. This was a major release. And it's directed by Eli Roth, which I got to tell you, I like Eli Roth as a person. He seems like utterly hilarious. He's one of our people, by the way, too.
Is he really?
He actually stages bad movie viewings at his home for people in Hollywood and stuff like that. And
That's great.
he's come up with some gems and talks with his friends about stuff. But at the same time, he has a very checkered career, I guess you could call it.
He does. And I don't just like his films. I like his storytelling. When he does something really well, it's really, really good.
Yeah, at times he hits the mark. I mean, he really kind of made a name for himself with the Hostel films, the horror movies. And that's kind of his genre. In fact, there are people that looked at this movie and they were like, wow, I can't believe I watched an Eli Roth film and there was hardly any blood. There's violence, but there's not gore. And that's kind of his thing. And he's also known for Inglourious Bastards, where he played the Bear Jew. That's kind of his biggest film role. So he's like also an actor and a director. He's really one of these guys immersed in Hollywood, has a name in Hollywood, but his career is really checkered. I mean, he puts out some just clunkers at times.
It does, but I think sometimes they're often underappreciated for his eye. So like most of his stuff is all, like you said, it's bloody and gory, and it's meant to shock and appall you. It's designed that way. The Green Inferno is probably the best example of that. And Hostel, those two movies they're designed to shock you as a viewer with just how over the top gore he puts into it. This movie does not have.
And I think Green Inferno cracks me up too, because it almost seems like he got that one in under the radar of Hollywood, and then once they realize, because this whole thing is basically him mocking environmentalists. These are all do-good environmentalists who go out in the rainforest to save a tribe, and they actually get set upon by them. It's just very
cannibals. He brings cannibalism into it.
And it's done in
that I've seen in the last 20 years. It involves cannibalism. That's not The Hills Has Eyes, where he goes into the Brazilian rainforest and introduce cannibalism as it actually was, not as a horror trope for a bunch of hillbilly redneck backwoods inbreeds.
No, he's that one really surprised me though, because it's like, how did you get this made, guy? And I think he probably sold it as these kids go out in the woods and cannibals get them, but then he didn't hype the environmental side of it. And the overriding theme of it is very satirical and kind of puts the screws to them. So I think he got away with one there. But
he started this movie in 2021, right during the pandemic, as it was starting to kick in. So there were masks everywhere. But I guess there was some falling out between him and the Arad brothers, and how it was where the film was, like the direction it was taking, and they didn't think it was going well. So they fired him, and then they brought in Tim Miller from Deadpool, which he's an executive producer on this thing. And I like Tim Miller for the most part. I mean, Deadpool 1 and 2 or 3 is obviously, the best of the series, but he's a good director. But anytime you bring somebody in to finish somebody else's work mid shift, it just, you can tell, and it doesn't work out as well. And I think this one had to go, there were so many reshoots, and it got to be so expensive that they had to rewrite the entire score and have somebody else rescore the film because nothing matched anymore. Like, that's a heck of a reshoot schedule.
Yeah, and then on top of that, one of the writers actually had his name taken off of the film. So,
did he really? Who?
Yeah, this is a sign of trouble, basically. This is when you get to this level of reshooting, recalibrating, moving directors, moving writers, and you start to get to the point of this is a mess. And you're it pretty much spelled it out. I mean, this thing was doomed by the time it got to theaters. Just kind of met a lot of apathy, and really, I think the advanced word on this thing killed the movie. We were a couple of weeks out from release, and everybody was like, "Holy crap! Can you believe this got made?" And
Yeah.
nobody did it. Nobody went to see it. Very dismal performance overall.
Now, I remember when the video game itself came out in 2009. I only played it very, very briefly. I just didn't have the amount of time I could invest to it like my friends did. And my World of Warcraft days of spending 8 hours a day playing this game were behind me then, because I had 2 kids and working a full-time job, so I just couldn't devote it. But I remember it playing very, very well. I have a board game called Wasteland Express Delivery Service, and it is essentially Borderlands, the board game. Plays almost the same exact way. And I remember the game being fun, and it kicked off a lot of sequels and prequels and some graphic novel spin-offs. And so I think
that's actually it's kind of funny, because when this came out and did bomb, I mean, this thing left a crater, but the makers of the video game series said they saw increased interest in the video game itself.
Well, you would need to, because if you wanted to scratch the Borderland itch, you were not going to get it from this movie, because it couldn't be further away from the actual storyline, from the actual Borderlands. And that's kind of your problem with video game series. Even with Minecraft, there's no story to tell. And any story that is there to tell is usually told in the video game. And you have sometimes hundreds of hours of gameplay dedicated to telling this story over the course of time to one person. And so you're trying to condense all that. I mean, take a look at the Halo series as an example. Halo, the video game, has been going on since Xbox was a giant VCR style system, just huge. And it's probably the most popular video game system that Microsoft has ever released. And they tried to do it in a form of a television show on Paramount that got canceled after 2 shows, because they immediately showed his helmet, took the Master Chief's helmet off, and then started having him have sex with a computer program. None of that's in the game. No. You look at fighting games like Dead or Alive, fantastic game to play. Tekken, fantastic game to play. Dance Dance Revolution. They made a movie about Dance Dance Revolution. It's a dancing video game. You try to make a movie on it. There's no story to tell, so you're forced to make one up, and it almost never works. Prince of Persia, horrible. I didn't like it. It doesn't play after the video game. My wife loved it. Why? Because she doesn't know the game.
Right. Well, this is always the biggest pratfall when it comes to video game adaptations, is that you have to serve 2 audiences. You have to cater to the people that played the game, but you also have to attract those that have no idea what's going on. And usually what happens with these, when you try to be happy on 2 sides, you end up failing twice and you come up with a bomb. Case in point, Borderlands.
Well, it doesn't help that they chose an absolutely insane cast to play the people in this film. But said
this is what surprises me.
Probably the worst ensemble cast ever assembled, and it's close to being the worst. It's top 5.
The thing is, these are named actors, big named actors, in fact, and you gotta wonder what the hell attracted them to this script. Like, what was in this that made you go, "Oh, heck yeah, I'm going to be in this"?
Funny.
That's about the only thing. So we're literally looking at Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart in major roles. Jamie Lee Curtis shows up in the second half of this film. She's prominent. And Jack Black, as we talk about. This one's curious to me. I mean, we've talked about this a couple of times. It happens where they hire somebody either for voice talent or otherwise, and you don't even know it's them. He plays the voice of the robot Claptrap, who is the comic relief in this film, and I think maybe has a funny line in it one way or another. But it doesn't sound like him. They modulate his voice entirely, digitize it. I mean, at times you could say, okay, maybe that's. I'm looking for Jack Black, is what I'm saying, in the voice, and okay, that sounded like him a little bit. Okay, that kind of had his cadence. I guess I could see it there. But otherwise, why? Why would you do that when you're not going to draw people because it doesn't sound like them. And why would you drop that kind of money to have somebody not sound like themselves? It just makes no sense.
And
But
and this is
being
the
the
worst
movie.
part. These characters all have voices in the video game. You could have just brought in the voice of the original Claptrap from the video game to play
Right.
this, to play the voice.
And
You
that
don't-
would have appealed to people better, probably, at least the fans.
David Eddings has been doing that voice along with Jim Foronda for the last, since the thing came out in 2009. There's no reason why you couldn't have brought him in. That's like replacing Optimus Prime. His voice is recognizable, and then replacing him with Jack Black. That doesn't make any sense. Jack Black's not a name draw for this film. You don't ever see his face. You just hear his voice. And you know Alan Tudyk? You know who Alan Tudyk is.
Sure.
Alan Tudyk has been doing voices. I don't know if you knew this, but he's done voices forever.
Yeah,
But
he's great at it. I
He's
mean,
fantastic at it.
there's some roles that he's played, like the the King Candy
Yes.
in Wreck-It Ralph. Unrecognized, like you would not know it's him.
Unrecognizable.
That's how good he is at different characterizations, and that's his job. You don't know him by his actual voice. You know him by the characters he creates, and he's fantastic when he does it.
He is, and I bring him up because he was in the Electric State. I did not know he was in the Electric State until I watched the credits, and his name just comes up as voice actor. And I'm like, he's so good, he disappears.
Yeah, like you're
And
not going to
Jack-
say, "Hey, that's Alan Tudyk," but
You might as well just had Robert De Niro do it. You'd be like, that's Robert De Niro's Claptrap. I recognize the voice.
well, this is we got to get into this mess one way or the other that we're seem to be avoiding. So we should probably start to delve here, I guess.
Well, I will say that when you look at the people in this film, Ariana, and this bothered me the whole time, Ariana Greenblatt, because this movie was filmed when she was 14, and she's now almost 18. Like, she has changed so much in 3 years. You're talking about, those are your 3 formidable years, right? Where your body changes the most, and your facial construction and stuff. Everything changes the most in those first, those preteen to teen years. She's unrecognizable. She's 14. She's so annoying in this film. And now that she's 17, she's a lot better, in movies that she's in now. But it's just so weird to see her be that young in a movie where you now see her in other movies where she is not that young.
Yeah, and it's a one-note character, and that's the problem with this film. Every character is that. Whatever they get introduced as, they are pretty much that at the end. There's not really development taking place. There's not real advancement or changes, or now that we've got to know them, nothing. They're the same.
I will say Florian Montanu, or Montanu, the guy that played the Psycho. That's probably the closest character to the video game, and I thought he did a pretty decent job as that character. Kevin Hart's ridiculous.
Yeah, I would say miscast. Pretty much.
Yeah.
He doesn't bring anything. Every so often he has a kind of an apt line here or there, but for the most part, he plays this role straight, and it doesn't really work. I mean, not that he did a bad job. He just didn't have a job. Just be Kevin Hart. Go on camera. We just need to see you. Drive a car for a while. That's pretty much Kevin Hart. Hold a gun, drive a car. That's what he does in this movie.
Right.
Okay, great.
And Cate Blanchett is completely miscast as a vault hunter, whatever.
Well, she's overcast, if anything. You didn't need Cate Blanchett for this role. She's not given, like a lot of acting right. She has a ton of screen time and does a fine job, I guess, but she just doesn't have anything to do either except be kind of a sullen bounty hunter. That's, again, a one-note character. There's not a lot to it. And yes, she develops, and we'll get to that by the end of things. But even then, it's not a big departure from where she was. So you didn't need Cate Blanchett, is my point. A lot of competent actresses could have done this and done just as well because there wasn't much to do.
Name me the last action movie that Cate Blanchett was in. That's not Borderlands. She's not an action actress. That's not her thing. She's a fantastic actress. She's not an action-born person. Did she do an okay job in this? Yes, but it was completely off-putting to see her doing this, especially when her hair never moved.
Right. It's
They created anime hair for her and just left it there, and she's like rolling around in the dust and fighting people, and it just. I think you're probably better off using somebody like, oh, good gravy. What is that? What's that lady's name?
Tina, Mary, Elisa.
The Messenger. She played Joan of Arc, and she's in Fifth Element. Mila Djokovic.
Ah, you know what? Yeah, she'd have been perfect for this.
She'd have been great for that. Because she's a recognized name, right? So we know, and we're used to seeing her in action. I think you could have gotten away with Kate Beckinsale. We're used to seeing her doing action.
Yeah, and again, this isn't like a complaint on how Kate Blanchett performed. She did okay. It's just like you didn't need her. You didn't need, basically you're bringing, a souped up Mustang to a track that's made for go-karts. It's just, you got way too much. You don't need all that. And
Michelle Rodriguez would have been good in that role. Because we've seen her do action and we've seen her fight.
Yeah, that's the level you go for right there.
That's right, and that's perfect. That's your sweet spot. You've got too much star power with Kate. You've got just the right amount with Mila, Kate, or Michelle.
Well, that's the problem here too, is that there wasn't enough plot here to hold our attention. So for most of the movie, I'm saying, why is Kate Blanchett in this film? You need to distract people from that mindset. I'm not 45 minutes into the movie thinking, why is she here? She looks okay and everything else, but why? And I said that throughout the film and even through the end, as we're going to find out now. It's always a challenge when you have a movie open with a monologue to explain all the backstory. And boy, did we get one here. This is how we're supposed to care. The galaxy was once ruled by the Iridians. This was a master race that was supremely advanced past everybody else and basically made human beings, I don't know, like ants or something like that. Okay, great. Then they just disappeared. I'm sorry, but I already have problems here now. Master race of the entire universe, and then poof, they're gone. What?
That's what they did in Moonfall. It's the same thing in Moonfall.
Okay, got it. Well, then we're told that this master race left behind crumbs of their technology, and humans advanced magnificently because of this. But there was also a vault of the Iridians' geniusness, I guess, left on the planet of Pandora. So the Iridians, I guess, knew they were going to be extinct and made contingency plans. Is that what we're doing? Well, now the planet of Pandora is overrun with corporations, criminals, and treasure hunters, all of which are looking for this vault on the planet. So we're in the cosmic Wild West, I guess.
Well, people just assume that the vault is filled with loot.
Or as much technology and wisdom that whoever possesses it can then rule the universe anew, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you got a bunch of brain-dead hicks wearing masks with the IQ of about 60, it's kind of like endless energy cold fusion being put in the hands of a moonshiner with no teeth. It just doesn't, they're not going to benefit that much. I'm just going to say it.
Well, that's how myth was made.
Yeah, I didn't want to get racist here or anything, so I didn't acknowledge any particular region where this might be taking place so as not to offend. But this is our setup. This is the pretext of the entire movie. Pandora, everything takes place there. Okay, got it. Title card comes up. We go to another planet 50 light years away.
Right. Yeah. Everything happens here. Now we're going to move to a different place.
Now in a completely different part of the galaxy. And this is where we get introduced to Lilith. This would be Kate Blanchett.
And she's an actual playable character from the game, from the original game.
Got it. So this is true fan service. She has very pink hair and it is all swept to one side and actually has a wave that sticks out past her ear and it never moves. This is permanent right now. This is, like you said, she's rolling around in the dust, having gunfights, getting sprayed on with monster urine. Yes, we're going to get to that soon.
Oh my God.
And the hair is always perfect, regardless.
Well, in the series, in the game series, she is the overall main protagonist. So it's not, they didn't go out of their way to make her the main protagonist in the movie. So they did that part of it right. Except, however, they turned her into a bounty hunting shooter in a Western setting. And in the game, she has magical powers that she knows about. That you have them to begin with. You start the game with those powers. She had to find.
Really? Okay. So that's even okay. That makes our ending of this movie even more stupid. But okay, we got plenty of other barricades to crash through first. I should say, I probably should point out this. We also have a scene where there's a young girl in what we're told is a prison cell, but it looks like basically a holding deck on Star Wars. And this would be Tina. She, outside of her door, hears a bunch of commotion and banging. The door opens, and then a masked individual by the name of Roland Greaves, this would be Kevin Hart.
Oh my gosh.
Opens the door, breathing like Darth Vader, and then in comedic fashion whips it out and say, "Man, you can't breathe in this mask, stupid mask."
Like it was a scene from Spaceballs.
Yeah, like this is.
It would have been better had Rick Moranis come out of retirement and taken that helmet off at the beginning of this film than to have Kevin Hart steal that line.
And it looks pretty much, it's formulated similar to Darth Vader's mask. It's got the same kind of wraparound and mouth fusion. So, that was comedy. Got it, as they hit us over the head with a snow shovel. But we're supposed to believe he fought his way all the way into this complex while wearing this mask he can't breathe in.
I don't know which scenes were reshot for this film. Tim Miller did 2 weeks worth of reshoots or 3 weeks worth of reshoots. I feel like this had to have been one of them because it stands out as too comedic of an opening, almost like what they did with Justice League, where the reshoots made Batman too comedic. It didn't make sense because he's not comedic that way for the rest of the film. Like that was like a ridiculous, over the top kind of.
There's only like one or two instances where it was like Kevin Hart starts to come up through the character, like it's comedy. No, and I probably should point out this too. When Eli Roth he wasn't taken off of this and replaced by the director. They had to do reshoots, I guess, because they didn't test well and stuff. And Eli Roth wasn't available. He was shooting another movie at that point. And ironically, it was they were doing. Remember the movie Grindhouse?
Yes.
The Robert Rodriguez film, and they had all those movie trailers, and a bunch of those have now been made into actual movies, like Machete. He had one. It was called. He actually shot the trailer in Grindhouse for one called Thanksgiving, where you got a killer pilgrim on the holiday. They did that. They actually ended up making that movie, and he was directing, and that's what he was doing. So he couldn't do the reshoots for Borderlands. They had to bring in Tim Miller at that point. But yeah, it does. You get a definite tonal difference when you see these kind of scenes, and I'm with you. That probably was a reshoot.
Well,
pretty
I'll
minimal set and pretty quickly shot.
Now, Kate, while we are kind of criticizing Kate Blanchett's casting in her role, she doesn't do a terrible job, and she's at least believable in the role of that, right? I don't think she ever knows how to do it, but she's not bad. She's not a bad actress, obviously.
No.
Kevin Hart's role as Greaves is more miscast than Tom Cruise's Jack Reacher. Because Greaves is like the 6'3", 6'4", hulking black guy soldier in the game. Like he's just a big dude. Now, in the second game, there is a dude called Salvador that he could have played, and they could have just done that. He's a short-statured, short-tempered gunzerker is what they call him. That would have been great. You could have used that one, but they wanted to bring the original character in, so they brought in Greaves. dude, you know how many people that they could have brought in to play that role, and it would have been better.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to fit. There's even a scene later in the movie where they make a joke about Kevin Hart being short. I should say Roland being short. It was like, really? We doing
Michael
this?
Jai White would have been awesome.
But
you know Michael Jai White from Spawn? He doesn't do much other than like B action films now. Him and Scott Adkins. But they've made their career and their name in Hollywood playing those movies. He would have been great. Because then you can keep the star power still focused on Kate. Whereas now you're sharing screen time with two star actors. He would have been awesome in it.
Well, that's add that to the list of bad mistakes in this film.
For real.
So Kevin Hart breaks in and he says that he's there to rescue Tina. Her dad has sent him to rescue her, and they have to shoot their way out. We got some action scenes, and then while they're escaping, a crazy inmate blasts through the glass enclosure he's held in. This is, well, the name is Krieg, and this is my problem with it. He busts through, runs into these two, and then a couple of soldiers come up to try to stop them all. He dispatches the soldiers. Roland manages to make friends with him because he finds out Krieg likes Tina. But there's a voiceover you hear on the loudspeakers or something. Oh my God, one of the psychos got loose. All he did was bust through the glass that you were holding him in. He did it. It wasn't like they shot the glass to free him or anything like that. They were running away, and this guy breaks out and runs into him. Makes no sense. One, why didn't he do that earlier? Two, how are you not containing the others and him when this fashion? The whole thing was just pure convenience, it seemed like. But now Krieg is part of the trio.
Well, they had to create that the band of ensemble as quickly as possible, and that was as quick as they could possibly do it.
Here's the way you do it to make sense. While they're running by, Tina grabs Greaves' arm and makes him stop and say, wait, that's Krieg. You got to get him loose. He's like, what? He's a psycho. Yeah, but he could help us. Boom, you blast the glass. He's free. He takes care of the soldiers. You could probably even do it in less time, and now you got your band of people starting up. And it makes sense. This way, he's just like, I'm going to break glass now, and does it.
Well, they didn't want to use Krieg in the proper way anyway. They didn't really introduce him in any. I mean, we understand as an audience, we understand the relationship that he has with Tina. We don't understand why they have that relationship, but we understand the hulking brute that doesn't speak much has a soft spot and a sense of duty to the young girl, but we don't ever understand why, because they make psychos out for the rest of the game actually, and the rest of the movie to be these bloodthirsty, Lord of the Flies kind of situation where they're just killing each other constantly and fighting and bickering, and it's their form of orcs from Lord of the Rings. But we don't understand why. It's like an orc coming over and starting to protect Frodo. Okay, we understand that he has a sense of duty to him, but why does that sense of duty exist? We don't know.
Yep.
They probably would have been better off if they had taken Krieg and introduced him in a band of psychos, and him suddenly having a change of heart, watching Tina about to get killed and it not sitting well with him, and he just turns on them. Now they're all running.
I mean, you feel like there's a history here, but they don't want to tell us that history. So it's like, well, okay, they're just buddies.
And I think the history would have mattered. Like a lot.
Nothing really matters here. So then they're free. We cut to the planet on the other side of the universe and meet Lilith. She's at a bar. She just collared somebody for her duty and doesn't go turn them in. She just takes them to the bar and has a drink. It's like, don't you want to finish your job? But he's on the bar next to her while she's talking to the barmaid. And then three guys come up, start bickering with her, and they have another job, yada, yada. One guy kills her bounty. Now you have to help us out with our task. And she spins around, shoots them. There's another guy way off in the corner that does the slow golf clap. Cliche much movie. And he starts talking to her. This is Atlas. speaking through another individual. They have this neck device that somebody else can occupy their face and communicate to others remotely. Okay. But while the body's laying on the ground, he's talking to her, and he needs her to do the job of going to rescue his daughter, Tina, who has been kidnapped. And now we have to believe that Greaves has broken free from the military unit that Atlas operates to go kidnap his daughter, and she needs to go rescue the daughter. This is our plot now. And Lilith says, I'm never going back to that planet. I hate that place. You can't pay me enough. And then he shoots her some money through a wrist device, and she's like, well, that's enough. Next thing you know, guess what? Lilith is on Pandora. That was easy. She goes through some type of taxi service from Atlas, shows up in this red box that just lands on the planet, and there she goes. And while she's traversing through the wasteland of this place, a lot of debris and wreckage all over the place. There's a robot spying on her, peeking around corners, checking up on her or something. Ben makes himself known. He's a one-wheel robot with a camera, can speak, has gesturing arms, and a wicked sense of humor, we're supposed to believe. This is Claptrap. He's the comic relief voiced by Jack Black. And we're told that he was placed on the planet strictly and for the case of Lilith. I don't know why that was significant, but that will become significant.
Nobody knows. There's no explanation to any of the things that are happening in this film. There's explanations as to why things are in the movie, but not why things are happening.
This is the first indication that, wait a second, something's going on here. They're not going to fully explain it, but at the same time, we can figure it out because of everything else is just so damned obvious. So she hasn't been on the planet in decades, she says. We learned this through various other backstory monologues. Her mother has died. Her mother gave her up for particular reasons. We're going to find out. She's very sullen about this. She's bitter about it. Didn't want to come back to this planet, but this robot just happens to be bouncing around the place, waiting for the day if Lilith ever does come back, and she does. So, yeah, there's something going on here. And he's got all these abilities. She gives a picture of Tina. The robot knows where they're at. They start to go on a venture and look for her. Tina lives now in... How much time has elapsed? Do they ever really explain that from her kidnapping? Because she's on this tower of decrepit vehicles. They look like taxis or something. It's got to be 40 feet tall. And she's got her own residence inside of this thing.
Well, they did a decent job creating the environment from the video game. But when you're playing the video game, you don't need to understand why that environment exists. You're in the environment and you just play the game. It doesn't matter. Those details don't matter. But in the movie, that detail matters for the story, but they don't ever give it to you. They're just there.
Like, she didn't want to leave where she was at. They say she was in prison, but she was kept rather well in very nice conditions, fed well and everything else. Now she's living in a wasteland inside of what is basically a junkyard. And set up shop. She's got her own room. It's all appointed with stuffed animals and clothing and everything. Looks like she's been living there for 2 years.
And they're on the run. They look, right? They're supposed to be on the run from everybody. People are hunting them down. They've got the same amount of clothing. They haven't changed clothes at all. She's still wearing the exact same outfit. Greaves is wearing the same outfit, and Psycho hasn't changed. There's no way to judge time.
Do we ever get explained why she's wearing rabbit ears?
No, because the character in the game wears rabbit ears.
Well, yeah, I kind of figured that, but they don't explain. The whole time she's got 2 foot tall stuffed rabbit ears on her head throughout, with no reference to it. They don't serve a purpose. It's not like it has a blue band on her forehead, and I thought like that was either going to be a communication device or it sends out pulse waves or something. No, she just has these stupid rabbit ears on all the time.
Because in the game, she's a 13-year-old demolitions expert. So in order to just not make her a very small, tiny blonde that likes to blow shit up, they gave her rabbit ears to kind of make her stand apart.
Okay,
in the game. The game, it makes sense in the game, right? Because she would just look like a tiny 5'3" blonde demolition expert.
But did they ever explain that in the movie?
No.
I've never once heard that she was a demo expert. So when Kate Blanchett shows up and tries to collect her, she's now on top of this tower of vehicles, and she starts throwing stuffed animals at Lilith, which blow up everywhere. And this is her thing throughout the movie. When needed, she has a hand grenade or a bomb or something. They never said that she was a demo expert. That would have made more sense. But here it's just all convenience. Damn it, we got 60 rogues chasing us. We need a bomb. Here's my bunny. And she throws it and it blows up and they get away. Great. What?
Bob, it's Bob the Bomb Buddy. And that's her main weapon. And in the game, you don't need it to make sense in the game. You just, okay, I've got unlimited ammo. I've got unlimited bombs. I can find things in a chest. That stuff needs to be explained in a movie, and just doing it doesn't explain it. If she was to find the ears in one of those old vehicles and go, oh, I've always wanted rabbit ears, and she just puts them on. Okay, now you've explained how she has these rabbit ears and why she's wearing them. Or if it's a remote control for her bombs that she can use to explode something randomly, like long distance. Okay, you've explained them. Now it's just a prop. It's just a prop she wears for no reason. It's not like it's a jacket. No. You know what I mean? It's not a jacket or a pair of pants. I don't need you to explain why somebody's wearing boots. But if she's going to put on these rabbit ears all movie long and they never fall off, or they surgically implanted to the side of her head, how do they not fall off?
This is how stupid and lazy the movie is, though. It would take one line or one quick 2-second scene to explain the rabbit ears, or one line in a couple of seconds to explain that she's a demolitions expert now or something. But she goes from being a 14-year-old girl in a jail cell on another planet to having bombs at her disposal. I mean, that quickly. Like, now I've got 15 stuffed rabbits that can blow up when I want them to. Huh?
Right. She's leaving them like C4. Just plant them all about, and then she can mind control them all to go off at once or whenever she wants to.
Well, and the whole time too, I'm thinking, wait a second, where's Greaves, the guy that kidnapped her? Because you would think he'd kind of want to protect her and make sure nobody finds her. But then he rolls in later on scene, conflict and fighting and arguing and stuff. And then all of a sudden, Atlas has his, what do they call it? The Scarlet Brigade or something. All of his soldiers start rolling in, and one figure is on a hovercraft. And apparently she and Greaves have a history. Now they have to get away.
What was her name? Was she Commander Knox?
Yes, Mad Mox was her name.
No, Mad Moxie.
Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. It was
with her clothes on.
Commander Knox. Okay, so that's not confusing. We have one Knox and one Mox.
Knox and Mox.
Wow, that helps. That's why I got confused. I just saw the double X and said, that's them. And they both spell it with 2 X's, by the way. Yeah, ever more helpful.
I don't think Mox was in the game. Yeah, Mad Moxie, she's a bartender. She was in the game. I don't think Knox is in the game.
So we have a chase scene here, and it goes on for a while. And while they're trying to flee, and there's a shootout, and there's other things taking place, Greaves takes his truck and cuts a hard left and goes into a wasteland. This is the perfect getaway. And a big sign that just says, don't go here, because there's a lot of monsters and they urinate a lot. But so they're cutting through this wasteland, arguing a little bit. The robot is chirping away in the back seat. I don't know why they still have him. At no point in time did they say, we need this robot. And everybody's annoyed by the robot, but they take him with everywhere.
He provides very little comic relief for the film. Very little.
Doesn't shut up, but yeah. That's his entire purpose.
He reminded me of that Catskill comedian from the Love Beat, the Heartbeats. Yes, that's what he reminded me of. Just saying stuff to hope, just
Yeah,
just
a little
throw
more
shit
animated,
against the wall
but
and hope that somebody
nonetheless.
laughed at it.
Very, very bothersome. Wouldn't shut up, and yeah, annoying as hell. But they're driving through this wasteland, and for no reason whatsoever, Tina rolls down the window. Greaves turns around and says, "No, roll the window up." They start arguing. Like, she just wants the window down for no reason. And he's like, "Roll it up right now." And she's like, "No, I want." And the entire car gets blasted with fluid on the inside. Monster urine.
Yeah.
Everybody's now coated in monster piss. His truck is ruined because of it. This is funny. I mean, that's how it's sold, but I'm thinking we're supposed to laugh at this. Okay, serves no purpose other than that. Now in the process, all of the red vehicles have caught up with them, pinned them down. They're trapped. Greaves has an idea, though. There's a cliff right in front of them. A monstrous, hulking creature comes up full of tentacles and a large mouth. He's got an idea.
Well, Thresher
drives off the cliff edge. Thankfully, there was a ramp there. Convenient. He goes airborne right as he's going into the mouth, shoots a couple of missiles, blows out the back of the monster's head, goes through the head, and lands on the other side that he had no way of knowing was there because you can't see past the monster. But
now, fun fact, there's a cameo in this scene.
Oh?
You may not have seen it. Now, you will recognize the cameo when I tell you about it. You'll kick yourself in the butt for not seeing it when it happened. Do you remember? You've seen Speed, right? Keanu Reeves.
Right.
Was it 1990, 1992, 93, something like that?
Sure.
All right. Did you recognize the cameo from that scene in this movie?
I did not.
It's the same ramp that they used to jump the bus over the hole in the freeway. It's the same ramp they used and blew away to get it. It's a little known cameo that showed up in this movie. It's a blink and you miss it kind of cameo.
It's an Easter egg. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. It's an Easter egg. I'm glad to see Speed Ramp still getting work in this, 30 years.
There we go. Sure. There's a throwback. So this absolutely stupid and insane attempt works perfectly, with maybe the exception of a tire breaking. That's about it. But they land on the other side. They get away. Everything's splendid now.
Stupid too. Like, he just went through being shot at, pissed on, running over having all these bikes and lasers shooting at him, and what actually gets him is his shocks break and he loses a tire. Like, that's what does this truck in.
Well,
did you see how he was driving that Jeep? It was clearly made for somebody bigger than him. His arms on that steering wheel are fully extended the whole time he's driving. I was surprised he wasn't sitting on phone books and didn't have like blocks of wood on the gas pedal.
That I would have loved to have seen a shot with the door open. That might be the case.
There's so much room in that vehicle. Like, it was built for Shaq, and all they could do was stick him in it. He's holding the wheel out. Go back and look at that scene. I might even tweet it out, where he's got his arms and he's driving that thing. His arm. No one drives with their arms fully extended. I'm talking full elbow lock. I'm driving this thing.
Yeah, it was. I probably didn't even appreciate it that much because I was distracted by all the other nonsense, and literally that's what we're dealing with. So I guess I got to kind of throw something out here too. There was mentioned somewhere along the line that there was one remaining daughter of the Iridians, apparently, this is all part of the mythology, I guess, of Pandora.
Right.
And if she's going to be the key to whatever is inside of the vault, this is like a needed component, I guess. And they come to a realization that Tina is probably the key, because she explains her quasi-father, Atlas, has one of the 3 keys needed to open the vault that nobody can find, but it had some blood on it. He used that DNA in Jurassic Park fashion to create a clone that is now Tina. And he feels like this now is him creating this daughter of the Iridians. And this is why Atlas needs Tina in order to open the vault. Why didn't he just have her locked up wherever the hell he's at? Why was she at some remote location that he had no access to? None of this is making sense at all.
Figure that out.
I'm not the person for this movie because I tend to not overthink things, but initially think things. You go to the trouble of cloning an Iridian. Why not retain her? Maybe keep her at home. Maybe make her think you're actually her father, so she'll stick around for you when you need her. No, I'm going to stick her in a cell somewhere.
And she was like not the first. Like he created multiples, right?
Oh, did he? I might have missed that part.
Yeah, he created multiples of her. She's like, I'm not the first, or the rest didn't survive, or something like that.
Yeah, there was some weepy scene with her and Lilith where she's like, well, technically he's my father. What do you mean technically? Well, he created me. Oh, sadness, whatever. But we're told they have to go to some Paradise City to get more information. So they go to a bar, but because there's now a bounty out on Greaves, they all have to wear a mask. The mask is a larger than their head video representation that looks both stupid and stands out in a crowd because nobody else is wearing one of these neon colored 3-dimensional video masks on their head. It's like they're passing bounty signs every 20 feet with his face on it. If you do a wide shot of 400 people in a crowd and 5 of them have neon colored video masks on, guess who I'm looking at as a suspect?
Yeah. That was such a waste of special effects money because it's unneeded. It's unneeded money, right? You could have done something completely different there and it work out. They could have been wearing actual masks or just put a hood. That's Hollywood loves to do this. Put a hood over your head and nobody knows who you are. Put on a ball cap and nobody recognizes you.
Sunglasses or something, maybe. I don't, but this is, and here's the dumb part. There was this early scene where Lilith takes a taxi cab and the cab driver's obnoxious as hell, convinced that she's a treasure hunter. She tells him 75 times she's not. He keeps trying to sell. She's walking through the street with this huge mask on her head. He recognizes her in a heartbeat.
Yeah, immediately.
He says, "Hey, it's you. I told you were a treasure hunter." She's like, "Yeah, I never met you before." Sure. Yeah, I just like having a conversation right in the middle of a crowd. You're not who that is. I know who you really are, and nobody even blinks. It's just this kind of movie. Well, Kevin Hart knows that they have to go speak to a specific doctor because she is the vault expert on the planet. To which I immediately say, how the hell can anybody be an expert about something that nobody can find?
Right.
I mean, this is like saying, I'm the expert on the Lost Ark of the Covenant. Well, really? Where is it? Nobody knows. Then I don't think anybody then is going to call me an expert. I'm sorry, but that's just... So they have to go there. So the first thing they do is go to a bar. Hey, of course you do.
Why wouldn't you go to a bar?
This is where they meet the proprietor, who is Gina Gershon. And Gina Gershon, again, is overcast. She serves really no purpose in this movie, with one exception, and that would be cleavage. So, okay, maybe
she's
she was
got that in
properly cast.
spades. Yes.
She's wearing a bustier, and tough to make eye contact while speaking to her, unless you're Lilith, I guess. But then she explains they basically have to go to the bartender to figure out how to get to the doctor. And Gina Gershon, this is Mad Mox, the bartender. not Commander Knox. Don't get
And
confused.
Mad Moxie.
And she she's supremely helpful. She's like, oh wow, yeah, absolutely. I'll give you every single piece of information that you need. And if the authorities show up, I'm going to do my best to help you get away. Why? I don't. Apparently, there's a history. Moxie knew Lilith's mom, and your mother always raved about you. So I'm going to do every single thing in my power to help you. And tells them, you go escape through there. Hit a button on the elevator, say echo, it'll take you up to the doctor's lair, 7,000 feet into the sky of this building, while we waylay the people that are chasing you. Also, while they're going through all of this, Greaves still has that video mask on, and a guy recognizes him. Again, another member of the army that Greaves used to be. Is like, I knew that was you. So Greaves turns his mask off, and everybody now in the bar can see it's him. What the hell are you doing? Nothing in this movie is supposed to work, and everything works, is what happens here.
It's not good writing.
So this guy, he's chatting it up. Hey, we're good friends. I would never turn you in. I just think, hey, do you see there's a bounty on you? Ha ha ha. And meanwhile, his hand is slowly going for his gun. Why he didn't sit and grab his gun and point it at him and say, let's go, I want my money. He takes 5 minutes to do this, giving Lilith time to come up and shot collar him. He drops to the floor. They escape before the other soldiers show up. She gets in the elevator. They go to the laboratory and meet the doctor.
Now, have you ever seen a more annoying cameo than what's that fella's name? It was the comedian. He's a comedian. He's the Korean comedian. He's in there, the one that gets shot collared.
Oh, right. Bobby Lee.
Bobby Lee. That is the most annoying cameo I think I've seen in a very long time. He's I
think I've seen him in something else where he was more annoying, actually.
Oh, like his comedy's okay. I don't have a problem with his comedy. This character is annoying because he's like, oh man, hey, you're my bro. Hey, my bros, right?
Every single thing he says is clearly fake. Hey, Roland. Yeah, my buddy. Hey, we've been like the tightest friends, right? You and I, we go way back, and I would never turn you. No, I'm not going to tell people you're here. Perish that thought. We should have a drink together while I go for my gun on the side. You're right, buddy. Yeah, nothing about it is even close to genuine. But
and it's the laugh. His tongue out. I'm like, I wanted to just punch him in the face.
But the whole time, Greaves is buying into it. That's what makes it even worse. It's like I'm waiting for him to go, like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, stop grabbing your gun. He doesn't. He's like, no, I'm so relieved to hear you say that. That is fantastic news. Great to hear. This movie, I already hate it, and we've been in a bar twice. You would think I'd be on board here, but no. So now they get up. They make it to the laboratory. This is Professor Tanis, the vault expert. And all of a sudden, there's problems because her and Lilith have a past. Tanis and Lilith's mom were best friends. Lilith's mom gave her up to Tanis, but then she also gave her up to a band of thieves, which is what turned her into a bounty hunter at the age of 10. And she resents the hell out of Tanis.
She supposedly raised her, and this doesn't make any sense. Jamie Lee Curtis is, right now, we're just going to go with basic ages. She's 66 years old. Cate Blanchett is 53. No, 55. She's 55 years old. So you're telling me that Lilith's mom gave her over to an 11-year-old to be raised by? Because they're only 11 years in difference in ages.
Right. But the story itself makes no sense because we're told that Tanis was like her foster mother. But at the same time, Lilith is pissed off because she was cast aside to be raised by this band of thieves. It's like, well, how and when did that happen? When did the crossover take place? Did Tanis just drop her off at the bus station or something? I'm trying to follow, and this is supposed to be like melodrama in the background, underbubbling the whole plot here. Oh, how are they going to go forward from here with this tension between them? Nobody gives a crap. It's like, can we get through this? Because we know Tanis is going to join up. We know it. We saw the poster where all six heads look into the hole and Tanis is there. She's going to do it. Just get through this. And so they tell Professor Tanis, we got a key. It's basically a triangle or a cone-shaped rock. Tanis happens to know where the second key is. Well, why didn't you get it? And she's got this sprawling laboratory, right? She has this massive, expansive thing with all of her research of the vault, I suppose. But she keeps all her information in one notebook that's up on a shelf, tucked away behind stuff that she has to access through a footstool. Why wouldn't that be out front and center where she can get it anytime she needs to?
She's doing the research, yeah. Well, Jamie Lee Curtis's character is pretty dumb in this entire film. And I don't mean the character itself. I mean the person playing it. So, like, there's interviews where in the game, Tanis's character says she doesn't like to be around or doesn't get along very well with people. And that could be construed a couple of ways. You could take it in the Clint Eastwood Gran Torino style way where she doesn't want to be around people. Or you could do what Jamie Lee Curtis did and say my character is autistic. And I mean, she's super smart, but doesn't function well with society. I guess that's fine if that's where you want to go with that. But you need to actually have that explained. It's like the Good Doctor. Right? They created a character that's autistic, but has become a doctor, and they lead up to the point of that being created. If you don't have time to explain that Tanis is on the spectrum, then don't make that part of her character because we don't have time to understand it as an audience.
I never even picked up on that. Like, never.
You would have to have watched an interview.
Never had an instance of them saying, like, well, this is why she's like that.
No, not even once. Jamie Lee Curtis had to say that during an interview. She said, well, my character is standoffish in the game. Some can consider her to be autistic, and that's how I played her. You can't just do that on your own. Like, you're not a main character. You're a side quest character that comes into play don't just put yourself on the spectrum and just say, hey, I hope you figure it out. Because the audience is looking at you like you're an idiot the whole time. You're just a buffoon. It's a buffoon of a character because you waited to explain the character's motivations in an interview that only I found while I was doing research for this movie.
Well, there's her autism comes into play though because she informs them where this is at. Her notebook says that there were a bunch of guys taking Iridian stuff and putting them in a warehouse, and they found what they thought was a piece of pottery, but is actually the second key.
Why is she the only one that knows that?
Well, she knows that because she's the expert on the vault, Paul. You see, this is where her expertise comes into play. And this is an underground bunker, and you have to go through 2 levels of marauding bands of killing people. One is they get through easily, the other is a bunch of psychos. And they're in the psycho realm, and there's hundreds of these assholes, and they're all fighting each other and setting themselves on fire and nuts. And Claptrap the robot says, I've just run every possible scenario, millions of them. We have a 0% chance of succeeding. Now, question. We know that Tina is a bomb expert and has bombs at her disposal. Why didn't they use the bombs then? And just
start throwing them all over there.
Blow these assholes up, and you can go to your little secret hatchway that'll take you down to the warehouse. But no. Also, we're told every single person on this planet is looking for this vault. How is it the psychos or anybody else that knows about this warehouse hasn't been tearing this thing to shreds looking for the key? Because the warehouse is filled with Iridian stuff. I mean, these are the things that just pop in my head that blow up this movie throughout. It's like, wait, it's right there. Go for it. No. So, but that was a one piece of comedy, basically, I saw from the robot, where it's a 0% chance. And they're like, well, did you run any scenarios where you're the bait? And he's like, what? And that's what they do. So he comes rolling through the band of psychos, and apparently for some reason Claptrap is made out of something that's indestructible. So he gets the attention of every single psycho on him. Every single one of them opens fire on him, so the other 5 behind them can get into the hatchway and get into the warehouse. And Claptrap makes it, by the way.
Well, he's indestructible.
Somehow survives this. But now they're in the warehouse, and this is basically where they store the Ark of the Covenant. This place is massive, and there's tens of thousands of crates in this place. And you're going to find this little ceramic key that's about 4 inches tall in one of these crates. Where do we begin? So Lilith just starts going around with a flashlight, looking at various boxes. Sees one shelf that's got a bunch of boxes on it. She stops, she goes, she opens the very first box. There's the second key.
She was drawn to it. Again, she's drawn to it, and I think they're using this as a way to explain what is happening to her near the end of the film. But
well, this is when I was
early.
This is when I just said, I go, well, she's got to be the lost daughter. Has to be. There's just no other way, because otherwise I'm going to kick my television. Because if she's not the daughter and found this rock, I'm going to be supremely pissed off at the end of this film. So she better damn well be the lost daughter. No other explanation works here. But she finds this, and now they got it, and somebody has come to the realization, and they say, well, the third key has to be Tina. She's the one. And then Tanis comes to the conclusion somehow that if she's the third key, when they use her to open a vault, it's going to kill her. And
because it's all consumed, they don't know if that's actually happening or not. They weren't sure. Everything's being consumed.
But also at this point, Tina has been nothing but personally annoying as hell. She is like this preteen, bickering with everybody, hates it, and then also knows she's supposedly the lost daughter. So she's got this air of entitlement.
Yeah, I'm special.
And I'm not going to die because I'm the special daughter of the Iridians, and you need me to open it and not the bet and shut the hell up because I'm the best. But at the same time, we're supposed to think now like Lilith and the others care deeply about her and don't want her to die.
And I guess I guess they did a good job creating an annoying 14-year-old because.
Oh no, she was believable. I mean, I was of the opinion of, you know what? Let her open the vault and die. That's a win-win scenario. We get in and we're done with her.
Let's see what happens.
All told, that's not a bad scenario in my book. I'm just saying. But hell. Well, we're okay. So we got to this point. I'm trying to even put this movie together now. At the beginning, Atlas, by the way, gave Lilith a signaling device. Once he got Tina, she was supposed to hit the signal. They would come and collect her. Early on, though, it got destroyed accidentally, and she gave it to Claptrap to fix. So by this late point in the film, Claptrap comes up, never once working on this, but says, hey, I fixed it. Convenient. And then she's about to use it, but she instead smashes it on the wall because now she wants to protect Tina, because now she loves Tina, the annoying, sullen preteen. And just as she does so, a drone comes floating in from Atlas. All along, it had a tracking unit in there from the start. So he has a video message. He pops up, has a conversation with Lilith. Lilith tells him eventually that she doesn't want to turn Tina over, but conveniently in movie magic, Tina only heard half of the conversation and thinks that Lilith is going to turn her in. So now Tina throws a bomb in order to kill Lilith and get away on her own. Except she doesn't kill Lilith, she only knocks her out.
Yeah, well, you can't kill the lead character. You're not allowed.
No, but let's see. This made no sense either. Lilith comes to, and Claptrap comes rolling in, and he's celebrating because he thinks she's dead and that he's now free. But then she's alive, and he's like, "Oh, damn!" But he has, in R2D2 fashion, a hologram message from Lilith's mother, and basically, tells her how she's special and that you're one of the Iridians, and it's like, this is the kind of thing. Why didn't he tell her this at the very first time he met her? When she first landed on the planet, and he's like, "I've been sent here to take care of you. That's why I was created." Wouldn't that be the time to show this message?
Like, he's a terrible R2D2. That's what this is. They just straight up ripped this from Star Wars. This is R2D2 and Princess Leia all over again, except worse. Claptrap does nonstop talking throughout this entire film. Nonstop. Yeah. But yet somehow has forgotten to actually mention this particular part of the information that was important and programmed in him by her mother. Get out of here.
So now that they've got the second stone, they have to fight their way through the psychos once again. And we basically see Kevin Hart killed as he gets just monster mashed by these guys. Tina throws a bunch of bombs, but then for whatever reason later, Greaves comes to underneath the dead guys. That made sense. Not. Everybody escapes in an elevator. This elevator is shooting up a shaft at warp speed with no brakes. They're going to pop out of the top of it. We see a massive explosion on the surface of the planet. And then all 5 characters mystically appear on the planet's surface. They were transported somehow. Teleportation took place.
What did she call it? Hypertransference or something?
Yeah.
Spontaneous hypertransference. It was something weird like that.
Yeah, stupid is what it should be called. And now Tina believes she was the one that did it. And Tanis even looks at her and says, "Oh my gosh, Tina, how'd you do that?" She's like, "I don't know. I guess I'm just super magical and special than everybody else around the world but me." And the difference is that Lilith is off on the side vomiting as a result of this. And we're supposed to think, oh, it's just like motion sickness. That's why she's getting sick. No, because she's the chosen one and she had to use her powers and it affected her this way. That's what's taking place. I'm on board at this point. Okay. I'm the big twist is already revealed. Lilith is the special daughter, not Tina. It's obvious now. But they still play this off like it's a big twist. So, holy crap, where are we? We're at this point. Tanis tells the story now that the mystical daughter is like, what, a firehawk or a phoenix type character?
That's a firehawk is what they call her.
And she's going to save and protect Pandora. This is what Tina's supposedly going to be, but we're all looking at Lilith now going, it's obviously her. And I don't even know, how did they find this pathway to the vault? It was under a pile of garbage. How did they know it was there? Did I miss something?
Yeah, Krieg saw it. He's just randomly standing in some random spot, and he's looking down. He's like, "Symbol," and they're like, "Well, not now, Krieg. We're talking. You know, be quiet, dumb oaf. Symbol, smash, pull away. Krieg, you're a genius." He's not a genius. He spotted something you two were arguing over. It doesn't make him a genius. It makes you two dummies. There's a difference.
Yeah, they're I don't know, they're kind of like not a cavern. They're between a couple of mountains, in a pathway. And I forget the geological term because this movie has just crushed my cerebrum. And yeah, they find this spot. There's something in the ground, and now is the time where they're going to open it. They're going to use the 2 keys plus Tina. This is going to open the vault finally. So they stick the stones in. Light appears in the dust and the rocks. She occupies the 2 footholds, holds her arms out, big swell of music, and nothing happens. Gorsh, she's not the magical key after all, Paul. And at this point now,
Well, she says you are special, just in a different way. Yeah, like you're special. Like, remember that short bus you got off of earlier when I rescued you? That's where you belong.
And now we see the Crimson soldiers rolling in, and a giant aircraft comes hovering over them, and there's Atlas now. And they've come to the realization that, Lilith must be the secret daughter. And then we have this montage of flashbacks of all the little clues they left in the movie to tell us this that we knew from pretty much damn day one. I'm sorry, but when she found that damn rock in that warehouse on the first box she opened, I was like, okay, she's the one. That's her. But now you got to go through this whole song and dance of the big reveal. And now Atlas holds a knife to Tina's throat to compel Lilith to go after this. Tannis says, no, you could die, or you're going to give over everything in the vault to Atlas. You can't do this. Sometimes you got to break eggs to make an omelet, says Lilith, or something to that effect. And Bob. At this point, it's just like, get this shit done. And
they go to this big fight scene, right?
Like all of it. And they have
it's a terrible fight.
Well, they have this. The battle takes place where all of a sudden Lilith transforms and she's got these fire wings and can float. Gun battle erupts. She's able to place protection shields on all of her friends, and they can shoot everybody and kill them all. And then Atlas directs the floating ship to start firing on Lilith. She gets impacted a few times, not really damaged, but it hurts her enough, and she loses power or such. Then she surges up into the ship. This is such. I feel stupid explaining this climax. It is just. But she tries to fly into the gun, but apparently there was a force field, and it drives her back, and now she's lost all her powers. All the shields on her friends drop off. And Atlas chuckles, and now he's got the drop on her, and he turns the guns on the ship up to 10, I guess, so that it's one constant kill beam that's going to wipe her out.
This one goes to 11.
Probably. But then she just arbitrarily regenerates and can fight back this massive power beam. Again, Brad starts overthinking. If she had that much defensive power over the super beam, why didn't she have it against the lesser fire weapons?
Because, Brad, she wasn't focused or determined enough at the time.
I hate this movie.
She needed to be focused and determined enough to make it happen. Oh, it was just, I wasn't going to die before, and now I will die. You've made me super angry and upset. More power to my will. Block everything. That's a pretty standard trope in most of these films, where the main protagonist is succumb to the villain's, powerful attack, and then she realizes she needs to be more willful in her ability to overcome, and then suddenly can overcome the villain's super powerful attack. It's a stupid trope. It's not one of my favorites. It's like, if this was going to kill you before, suddenly it's not going to kill you simply because you're determined.
Yeah.
They call it determination over will trope. It's got a name. They talk about it. I've seen it talked about online prior.
Well, it's the same. We saw it in Harry Potter, where, they have that one climactic thing when they're both shooting their wands at each other, and it melts in the middle because they're both strong now. And it's really, we're doing this.
Well, and superhero movies in general do this kind of thing. And that's why Captain America's kind of battle against Thanos was so fun and visceral to watch, because in order for them to have that power surge, it had to be mano a mano, his sword versus Cap's shield. And they were right next to each other. But where Iron Man has to fight people, not always, but like Captain Marvel and those kind of things, when they do laser beams or they do wand firings, all the actors can do is just put their hand more out. Like, I had my elbow bent just a little bit when we were fighting before, but now I'm pushing all the way out, and that means there's more power into it. And it's just not as fun to watch. I'm more of a visceral guy. Like I said, with Cap and Thanos, that fight was amazing because they were together. Things were clashing. Power had to overcome power.
Well, see, I'll dispute you here, Paul. Sometimes you use both hands. So if you're holding the one with two hands instead of one, more power. See how that works now?
Oh.
Twice as much. But, so this happens, and you see the gun surge in her defense, and they just square off, and it floats in front of her for a good, I don't know, felt like 2 hours or so, until she gets one final burst and fires it back at the gunship. Now it starts to blow up and slowly descend on them, and everybody's about to die. Where's Tina? Where's this? Where's that? Atlas has Tina now and threatens to kill her unless Lilith opens the portal, the vault, which she does. These mystical rocks gather up into an archway, and that creates the doorway into the vault. The three of them go in. Everybody's standing back and looking and saying, I can't believe she did that. Now we're inside the vault, Paul. It's black. Blue lights start to crawl all over the floor. Oh my gosh, this is underwhelming. Like, they're in there, and Atlas still has Tina held, telling Lilith now she has to do something, I guess, but Lilith can appear in different places, and then she gets his communicator weapon, and now he no longer has the drop on Tina. Tina gets free, and then a gigantic monster rises up from nowhere in the background. The two of them escape while
An
it
unexplained
wraps up
monster,
Atlas.
by the way. Unexplained. Unseen until this point and unexplained. Is it a space thresher? Nobody knows. It's just, is it Cthulhu coming out of the hole in the ground? Nobody knows. It comes, it grabs, it goes. That's it.
I was happy because this meant the movie was ending. That's all I cared about. So they were walking away. Tentacles come out and start wrapping up Atlas while he screams, no, don't do this to me. They walk out of the vault, and we end the movie with fireworks, and they celebrate that they survived.
But does Atlas get eaten? Is he getting destroyed? Are they ripping him limb for limb? Is he going to be slowly digested like a Sarlacc pit over the course of the next 1,000 years? Nobody knows. Like, there's no explanation. It would be completely different had she had walked in there, and then like the Guardians of Iridium or I don't carry him come down, and they're like, you do not deserve this knowledge and blah, 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 and we will encase you. And they put him like in Han Solo style kind of. It's just drugged to his death. We assume drugged to a different peril, unknown. So terrible writing. I bet you that was part of the reshoot too.
This is how the movie ends now. They're, I don't know, at a hotel or something, and they're all just glad handing, and fireworks are going off because the entire city is celebrating what? Like, I get that these five are happy they survived, but why does the rest of this area celebrate this? Like, you guys made it, fireworks show. What the hell? Here's the thing. Here's how I can describe this entire movie. We got into the vault. What did we see and what did we learn, Paul?
Not a single thing. Not a damn thing.
Anything in it. This movie is Geraldo Rivera's Mafia Vault.
It's just an open vault. There's a bunch of like floating cubes and other nonsense in the air. There's no explanation as to what you're looking at. Did she take him in? Like, what if here's an ending for you, Brad. This would have been so much better. She takes him into the vault with Tina. He gets drugged down by, let's just don't explain the giant squid arms coming out. He gets drugged down, and she walks out and goes, that's not the real vault. That's the fake vault that they use as a security system. And then she takes everybody into the actual vault, and there's just just stacks and stacks of paperwork or something that makes sense where you can explain it. There's riches and there's all this other stuff to make the planet better. There's not a lot of water, so maybe there's water in here. It's just this beautiful, open, pristine area that they have kind of cultivated and kept protected. And then you end it there. I don't need to see fireworks on display. You haven't created a band of rabble rousers that are going to go out like the Guardians of the Galaxy and start protecting the universe from some stuff. So just end it in the vault with them finding the journey to the center of the earth kind of majestic area. But
I think the only way this could have been less satisfying is if they walked in a room, it was overlit. There was one beam coming down. There's a stand in the center of the room, and you walk up, and there's like a tiny flash drive. This has all the technology of the Iridians on it. Oh, it's not compatible with my computer. Roll credits. I mean, it would have been just that stupid. This literally was Al Capone's vault of a movie. Nothing was in the damn thing.
Nothing.
And they didn't explain it. So this is Borderlands. It's available on streaming. I'm going to tell you, don't do it.
Don't.
And like visuals were great. I mean, the wasteland looked good, and a lot of the scenes and the setting and costumes and all of that meant nothing. Nothing in this movie mattered at all.
In the scene where they're driving the truck and they're trying to get through the threshers, as he takes a dangerous left and goes towards the thresher pit, right. They pass a sign right there at the end of the canyon. Who put it up? Nobody knows. Just a sign in the middle of nowhere. And it says, "Danger, Thresher Piss." And I feel like that should be the title of tonight's episode. Because
yes, this movie definitely pissed on us.
It deserves a warning.
You don't care about any characters. You don't care what's going on. And as much as you follow this, it doesn't amount to anything. And then we open the big vault that every single person on this planet is looking for, and nothing. There's a monster inside, and then we close the door. Thank you, movie. So yeah, I'll say this, avoid it. You mentioned a few movies you've just been watching. I'll say this, go to Netflix and check out Electric State. It's not a really good story, but it is really amazingly shot.
The visuals are really, really, really good. Some of the robots don't look like robots. Same with Minecraft. The visuals in Minecraft are the same way. The villagers don't look like villagers. Some of the special effects are getting a lot better.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Electric State, I mean, this is definitely it's fan service. It's kind of like Ready Player One, where it's a lot of retro and throwback nods, to the 80s and 90s, and it's got these little cultural touch points all throughout it. But visually, it's hilarious too. And yeah, it doesn't make much sense. It's not a engaging story, but just watching it really is amazing. They spent $300 million making that movie.
Electric State?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
It was like they sold that as like one of the most expensive movies ever made, and it goes to Netflix.
No wonder my Netflix account has gone up to like $27 a month from the $9.99 I used to pay.
Yeah, but I'd say, well, they spent the money. You can see it, because I mean, you get a bunch of robots that are broken down, and the paint is shredded on them and stuff like that, so they look old and like they've been out in the desert for a while. It's kind of cool the way they made it look. I'll say that much. But much more engaging film than this. This one, no. Borderlands deserved to die like it did.
This is true.
So that'll do it for this one. Paul, why don't you then let everybody know where you can find more of your content?
At Movie Paul, and that's kind of it right now. I'm not really bouncing around too many other places at the moment.
Not even on TikTok on your toilet account?
I'm not anymore. It's just I haven't been on there in a while. I've got one video that's blown up, but it's all railroad related because some rail foamers had found it, and it's just a video of a small tiny train. I don't know why it's blowing up. So
train porn.
Train porn. We call it Only Trains.
There we go. As for myself, you can check me out daily. I'm over at townhall.com. I've got a media column there called Rift from the Headlines. I'm also on the front page of Red State on the regular, and I've got a twice weekly podcast there called Liable Sources, digging into the media mayhem. And you can hear more of me on this network. Next Thursday, I'll be here at KLRN with Ordy Packard as we guide you through the entertainment news that's vital to your culture and lifestyle on the Culture Shift. And every Tuesday, I'm here with the ever effervescent Aggie Reekin on the Cocktail Lounge, distracting you from all of the hysteria in politics and news by giving you culture and leisure, sports and drinking and art and all kinds of other distractions for you in a fun manner in a bar setting. And then if you need more of me than that, let's face it, you do. If you head over to Jitter, I am at Martini Shark. All right, Paul, we got a fortnight in front of us before our next episode. So we're going to have to conjure up something new, something enjoyable on the bad side of things, something better than this.
I don't think we can find anything better or worse than this.
We'll try, because we always seem to be able to do that right here on Disasters in the Making.
Place for no better man. This ain't no place for no hero to call home. This ain't no place for no hero. This ain't no place for no better man. This ain't no place for